On this build I had 3 different pieces of live edge woods in my shop to pick from. I choose this piece of Cuban Mahogany that I got from the Florida Keys, mainly because it's so unique, but also because of the story. This piece of wood weathered Hurricane Irma back in 2017. I sat it aside to work on my mold for the epoxy pour. Taking my time here to make a good sealed form will save a lot of time down the road. You'll see what I mean. I'm using home wrap tape to cover all the surfaces that the epoxy will come in contact with. I built the walls of this form to be able to use again on the next project. Now that the form is complete, I clamped the wood in place and prepared it for the epoxy pour. There are many different types of epoxy resins out there, but I'm using this 2-part to 1-part epoxy because it's the one I've used the most, it's the one I had on hand and I'm the most comfortable with. Now it's time for the pour. Was poured, I used my propane torch to pop any air bubbles that came to the surface. After 24 hours I came back. Upon inspection I noticed a couple issues. First, you can see here some bubbles that came to the top during the curing process. One thing that I could have done if I had one was use a vacuum chamber after I mixed the epoxy resin and before I poured it, drawn all the air out. That's probably the best option. I didn't tape cauls to hold the wood in place, which was just an oversight on my part. But I decided to mix up some more epoxy and fill the larger holes. This worked to fill the larger holes, but I was still left with some small ones. So I decided to pull out some CA glue, mix in some pigment, and using some accelerator to fill the remaining holes, and that worked also. Man, I love this part. Look at that wood pop, that epoxy pop. I'm glad I picked green. That green pigment really pops against this Cuban mahogany. Other than the few air bubbles that I had to sand out and refill, it turned out really, really nice. A couple things that I didn't show you is I put a chamfer on the edge, squared up these edges on my crosscut sled on my table saw. If you like this project, make sure you subscribe. There's going to be more like it soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.